Welcome to Body Energetics, evidence-based spirituality to get happy, healthy, and hot. I'm your host, Lauren Saracione, and I've been in fitness for over 22 years. I've also had 3 major healing events where I learned something new and deeper about the mind-body connection. It is my mission to help you get happy, healthy, and hot. So whether you're here for mindset work to get happy, emotional work to get healthy, or owning your desires and who you be to get hot, Body Energetics is for you. Welcome to episode number 16 of Body Energetics podcast. This is a framework episode, and we have 4 of these because there are 4 bodies: your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual body. And then we have 3 minds: your conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. And these framework episodes, I am taking you through the parts of your brain and your bodies, all 4 of them. And it's really a culmination of everything that I have shared with you previously. And so this is the completely distilled version of how I've been able to change my body to get healthy, to balance these emotions and balance energy, and really let go of all of the negativity that was stored in my body, and also how I manage my body and my stress now so that those things don't take me out and create sabotage for my health or my aesthetic. This framework episode is for emotional reactions and meanings. So I'm going to take you through a couple of bullet points about emotional reactions, and there will be references to some of the evidence episodes. And then if you need to dive deeper into the science, definitely go back and listen to episodes number 2 through 8 if you need some references for how this is working on the earth body side or the energetic side. So the first thing that really helped me get through the emotional stuff, especially being an emotional authority in human design, and having a Pisces sun placement, I'm very emotional, and it was very difficult for me to put words to how I was feeling, but I always felt miserable. Like my body had all the symptoms of having negative emotions and a negative outlook on life, but I didn't really have a way to articulate exactly how I was feeling. And because of not having that connection to myself, everything that I read about science made it feel very practical and strategic and almost like a workout. Like when I understood how the body was functioning emotionally, whether it be molecules or vibrations, then I was like using it as a code for me to access how I was actually feeling. And when I would do these certain practices that I'm going to be sharing with you in previous episodes that I'm going to share with you now, and then in the future, when I was able to do these exercises for myself, thinking about it as parts, as a molecule, and as a measure of vibration, then it was like later on, a couple days later, a couple weeks later, a couple months later, I would live my life more in alignment, and the integration process would help me change how I was thinking and feeling. And then I would remember something and be able to actually process something that happened that I had repressed, extract the wisdom, do the forgiveness process, and then move forward just, stronger and wiser, more compassionate and empathetic, and creating more self-love and be able to stick with self-care better. So I really want to share this with you because if you relate to being really disconnected from yourself, this is going to be so helpful. Before we get started, I am holding up the visual PDF of the framework. This is going to be on the Instagram feed at Body Energetics with an X. And then also, if you sign up for the email newsletter, bodyenergetics.com, you'll be able to get it right to your email. And then also you can join our Facebook community, facebook.com/groups/bodyenergetics, and it will be there as well. So the first thing is molecules of emotion and how to change your mind-body identity. Your mind-body system is your brain knowing that the container that it's in is you. And the way your brain knows that the container that it's in is you is the chemicals and the neurological circuitry that's going back and forth between your brain and your body parts. Molecules of emotion secrete from your subconscious mind. That's the place where the identity that's held in your unconscious mind is automatically operating as this is who I am. So whatever your identity is, your outlook on life, how you feel about yourself, you have a very specific chemical cocktail of molecules of emotion that are always secreting from your brain so that your brain and your body are in this communication and they know this is who I am. This made so much sense to me, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I have problems with these areas of my body. What are the emotions that these areas of my body represent? Okay, that's probably the molecule of emotion that's being secreted from my brain all the time. What is a new way? What is the opposite emotion of this negative one that's stored in the body part that's not working correctly? And how can I experience that emotion as an outlook and perspective, but also how can I create things in my life that are going to make me feel that opposite emotion? And then what happens with that train of thought is that eventually the molecules of emotion are going to shift away from those degenerative ones that break down your tissue into the opposite, which are regenerative, which help you reverse age, which keeps your DNA healthy, which causes your DNA to express itself in its highest expression. The mind-body identity is also stimulated with, well, in a positive way, right? It's always going to be there, but you can stimulate it and make it shift by doing the brain and heart coherence breathing. I mentioned that in episode number 8. And the brain and heart coherence breathing, because you are imagining something that's going to make you feel love, joy, appreciation, kindness, and care, because you're thinking it, the subconscious mind is going to release molecules of emotion that match those emotions. So you're creating a new mind-body identity system for yourself just with that 3 minutes of brain and heart coherence breathing. And then the payoff is that living in that mind-body identity, you're going to be able to have a different perspective. You might want to eat something different. And the integration of it, again, integration is just that you are living your life, being aware and making different decisions and dealing with the stuff that comes up. Because when you make these changes in your mind-body identity, it's going to be in contrast to who you currently are. And that contrast is going to come into your awareness for you to process. And that's the integration. So molecules of emotion are a way for you to change what's going on in your mind-body identity, which is going to make your habit changes for your health goal or your aesthetic goal easier. The next point that I have for you is vibrational ranges of emotion and how to change your body world reality. So emotion is chemical and it's vibrational. You can look them up on the internet of the solfeggio frequencies and literally program your vibrational field and body to a specific emotion and to attract something very specific into your life. Love, abundance, health, pain relief, you name it, there is a frequency that will do that for you. When I realized that we can program our vibrational field to attract what we want, it made so much sense, right? Because the things that are in our life, especially if you have inner child issues, the things that we have in our life that prevent us from following through with our goals are the external validators that we have created in our life to give us a sense of love and validation and worth. And those things are going to be in the way of you making changes to how you're taking care of your body with your diet, the places that you're going, the people that you're hanging out with. So if we have the external, the vibrational body creating a signal around it to then attract things to confirm again the mind body identity, then if we put in solfeggio frequencies, if we put in high frequency music that makes us feel good about ourselves and exciting instead of sad music, then we're actually going to start vibing with those things that we're listening to. And as our vibration changes, our outer reality is going to change as well. Don't forget, there is going to be an integration process to this. None of this means that anything is going to be easy. This means that you are going to be creating a new experience for yourself. And as you create a new experience that is not based on trauma and not based on pain and not based on feeling like a victim and not based on feeling like you're too much and not based on feeling like you're not enough, all of those things that you have created in your life, just by law of how it works, not your fault, but your responsibility, all those things are going to shift. Relationships, work, money, maybe your housing, things are going to shift. And so that integration process, you want to be aware of these things and not look at things that are falling apart as, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong, but look at them as, whoa, that area of life over there that is falling apart right now is falling apart because I have been doing my work to change my vibration. So in this area of life, what is actually falling apart? How do I feel about this area falling apart? And what was the emotion that was keeping it intact? Because whatever you find out that was keeping it intact is going to be the thing that is the negative emotion that's stored in your body that comes from some time in your past where something was too traumatizing. You left your body, you went into the mind to figure out how to not be bad, not feel bad, and not have a bad thing happen. And so this is how we can really start to access what's stored in your body, what's stored in your inner child so that you can move forward. We're like going through the back door. It's like so perfect. It's so, so good. So good. Okay. The next thing is forgiving, detaching, and being present. And this is more of the real quote unquote work that everybody is usually associating with doing your inner work, that you already have access to the story. You already have access to how you feel. But if you're like me and you didn't have specific places in time that you knew you felt this way, you just knew you always felt like that. Always felt terrible. So when we are using molecules of emotion and vibrational frequencies of emotion as exercise, like you're going to a mental emotional gym, when you observe what's changing, what interests you're having, how you're feeling physically in your body, how your sleep is, how your energy is, what areas of life are changing, how are the relationships changing, all that stuff. When we get to actually start to observe what's happening on the molecular level within your body and on the vibrational level within your reality, then we get access to forgiving. And when we can see what emotion was holding a relationship in any area of life, not just a person, together, then we can be like, okay, here's the emotion. What is the first time I can remember feeling that emotion? And then you watch that story play out of who was there, what happened. And because you know how energy works and how victimization works and how trauma bonds work and how cycles in our family, cycles of abuse work in our family, because now we know how it works on this unconscious program level, it's easier for us to find forgiveness for whoever or whatever hurt us. And in that process, you do end up seeing how you did the same thing or gave somebody the same feeling that you experienced. And because you didn't know any better and you were just operating unconsciously, then it's a chance for you to forgive yourself And three things: you, the person, or the thing that happened. When you forgive those things, then you start to calibrate into wisdom. So now you really are living your soul embodiment on the human level so that you can grow your soul. And this helps us detach from outcomes and helps us stay grounded. So after we've done the mental emotional gym workout, after we've been able to do some forgiving and extract wisdom from whatever situation, now we're able to detach from outcomes and we can stay grounded. So if you still have, whatever your dream body fantasy is, you can still want that and hold that picture in your mind. But the detachment is that your understanding that your entire physical representation of who you are now is made up of thoughts and feelings and behaviors that is not entirely that dream body, but little by little, you're moving yourself more and more into alignment with that person. And so once you figure out that this is about becoming more and more alignment with that version of yourself, you understand that this is the journey, not the destination. Because the destination is the external validation that is still from your inner child or younger self's mindset that says, if I check this box, then I will feel good, then I will not be bad, then the bad thing will not happen. And when you leave that detachment, then you really just get to live your life. And it's way, way better, way more fun. And we get to stay grounded when we understand this, when we do get triggered, because it's not that it's a one and done for every situation. Some things you might not have to ever worry about. Some things you might not ever have a craving for, whatever it is that your binge food is. You can take it or leave it. There will be some things that will not affect you at all. But because emotion is vibrational and we're living in the earth plane where there are different vibrations, you could come into contact with that same emotional range of energy that, if you're not hydrated, if you haven't eaten enough protein, if you've been stressed out, could make the inner child or younger self alarm go off, oh shit, what was that? We're in it again. And in the past, without knowing this information, you could run into that and not know that it has absolutely nothing to do with you as a person and your self-worth, but it has to do with you that maybe you haven't managed your self-care so much and your inner child's a little freaked out and doesn't feel very safe right now. So then you're like, whoa, 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 okay, I feel crazy. I feel anxious. What's happening? Okay, do a check-in. What's going on with work? What's going on with my finances? What's going on with my relationships? What's going on with my body? Have I had water? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Do I need a nap? Am I PMSing? And in that way, that groundedness allows you to stay present, which is the next one, so that you don't do any sabotage stuff to yourself. You don't like rush to a box of chocolates to make yourself feel better. Then with the emotional reactions, we also have attachment theory again, because attachment theory is just that good for us to understand these emotions. And when I said in the beginning that there's 4 bodies, we have first the physical layer that's in the center. Then the next layer is the emotional body, then the mental body, and then the spiritual bodies. And when I saw that the mental body, if you look it up on the internet, they'll show the mental body as a circumference around the emotional. I was like, oh my God, I think I get it. I felt like the overthinking that we do from this traumatized inner child is kind of like a fishnet that goes really like cellulite. Like, if you look up what cellulite is, there's these little fibers that attach our skin to our muscle. Women have less of them, which is why we have cellulite more often than men. And that's what creates all these little bulges, right? It's actually the fat being bulged between fiber. So I saw like this mental body attached to the physical body and the emotional body in between and getting like all squished and like dimpled and stuff. And I thought, oh, this is why when we are overthinking, we have so much tension in our body because it's like there's this missing layer of emotional regulation that's causing things to get all crazy. So my point is that we are actually working with body parts. This is why I'm so excited about my system, that we are using our body parts on the chemical and vibrational level to access our pain that's held in our mind and held in our body based on a mindset that we created when there was a traumatizing event. So I just want to keep that in mind for you, is that I am talking about body parts here. And when you do the work on the body parts, you're going to be able to do the work through your heart to change these things. And attachment theory is so good for us to get into these body parts on the vibrational level. We have anxious. Is when we're anxiously attached, we really become addicted and we are overly adhering to things. And so this reaction ends up being decision fatigue, where you're following something so closely and so regimented that then at the end of the week, you're like, oh my God, I just want to eat. I don't want to think about what I'm eating. And then that's when all hell breaks loose and we just keep eating all weekend. So if you find yourself on an attachment theory test being more of an anxious attachment style, go ahead and take a look at it of how you're using diet and exercise. And then the avoidant, I have this as sedentary and malnourished, and that the behavior is that we give up too soon. And for the avoidant, it's like when we bump up against any resistance, like if you're going to track macros and you're like, okay, like you feel all good, like you do it for a couple days. Oh, it's easy. You just plug in 100 grams of rice and 100 grams of chicken. And then something happens where you're going to go eat out, or you want to eat something from a box that you can't control the exact ratios for that snack of how many fat, carbs, and protein. You're like, okay, wait, this is too much. This isn't aligned for me. This doesn't fit my lifestyle. I'm done. Like the avoidant just like stops. And then fearful avoidant, which is also disorganized, is going back and forth between relinquishing power to the tools to rebelling and making the tools bad. And this is how I see this personality, that we're feeling really good. Like we're feeling in our power. We're like, I know the strategy that I'm going to do to get my results. And so we follow it to a T. We have this new routine. We're waking up extra early. We're doing our breathing. We're burning our Palo Santo. We're pulling our card deck. And then all of a sudden, something happens in another area of life where we feel disempowered, either by a world structure, by a romantic partner, by a friend, disempowered overall as being a woman in the quote unquote man's world, even though it's turning in more and more to the women's world since more men are becoming women. And then we make the tools bad, and it's an act of rebellion. Nobody's going to tell me what I need to look like. Nobody's going to tell me that fat isn't beautiful. Nobody's going to tell me that I need to make a change. They should love me for who I am. And to me, this is like the beginning of the attempt to feel empowered as someone who really deep down feels like a victim. And then it just hurts us because we're totally displacing our disempowered thoughts and feelings. We really need to like zoom out and see what is happening. What have we been consuming on the media, on the news, around people that is making us feel inadequate? And because it is taking effort to change your diet and exercise, you think it's because of that, because you're like, oh, this is like really hard. And then you start thinking about all the diet culture marketing campaigns that are all about making you feel like shit so that they can sell the product. Then you're like, oh, that's the problem. But it's not. That's just where you're taking it out. That, my hotties, is your episode for the framework for the emotional body. This is something that we'll be getting into piece by piece in other episodes. And then as well, have this framework because this is the nuts and bolts. I'm literally giving to you the secret sauce. And of course, we can work together for application to your life and custom support, but this is it. I'm giving you my frameworks of what I've done to change my body and my life experience for free because I believe in it so much and I want people to move with this age of Aquarius as seamlessly as possible. We got 20 years that we're going to be seeing the world powers fall apart and the power get back into the people. And I've got a lot of Aquarius placements. And so this is my spiritual duty to you. You're welcome. Okay, so if you have forgotten, we have our monthly community call on the third Saturday of every month, 1 p.m. Pacific time, where we can have a conversation about any of the topics discussed on the podcast. If you tag Body Energetics while you're listening to the episode, I will enter you into the drawing where you could win a water bottle or a mug, and they both say Body Energetics on them. Thank you so much for listening. Share this with your friends if you found it helpful. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you found it helpful, please head over and give us a 5-star rating and leave a review for how this was helpful for you. This is going to help me spread the word faster into more people who need this information to self-heal. Join us at facebook.com/group/bodyenergetics where we have discussions about the episodes. Go to bodyenergetics.com so that you can sign up for my newsletter to make sure that you never miss an episode. And that's the place that you're going to get invited to our Zoom discussion that we have every single month. Tag us on social media, Body Energetics, and we will reshare your tag and enter you into our monthly drawing to win our really cute water bottle or our really cool mug.